K-State returns to Hilton Coliseum tomorrow for the first time since the debacle last year, where students and season ticket holders that were behind the bench um, were accused of throwing things at the team, uttering racial epithets, and secretly spying on K-State's huddles. All of these allegations were false. Meanwhile, what they certainly were not keen to admit was true was that their own assistant coaches were cussing out the ISU managers. Followed that up with the Big 12 tournament in Kansas City later in the year when Jerome Tang called Tamin Lipsey the biggest flopper in the league. Uh, Tomorrow should be an absolute hornet's nest at Hilton Coliseum for K State to walk into. The fans are not happy with this team. That is what made Farmageddon go from a friendly rivalry to a heated rivalry, and the stove is going to be turned all the way up tomorrow. Today is Friday, January 31st. I'm Matt Menson, and welcome to the Cornfield Sports Pod. With me, as always, or mostly always, I guess, because I guess there are random occasions where we have guests on when he can't make it because nobody's perfect. Blake Peterson. How are you doing, my friend? Oh, do we have you? You there, Chief? I think we lost Blake. No Blake? No talkie from Blake? Alrighty. Well, I guess we're gonna sit here with Blake staring at a camera for a minute.
You're cutting out a lot. That's the first time I heard you. Yeah, you're cutting out a lot on my end, but definitely here. I mean, I'm ready to give out like all the anger tomorrow. But oh my gosh, it's going to be a bloodbath. Like Hilton's going to be angry as all heck.
Yeah.
So, and
Um,
the hype going into this one too is it's going to be unmatched.
yeah, it is. This might be the most raucous that Hilton Coliseum has ever been. It is sold out as of earlier today. Um, so that crowd will be full. I fully expect the student section to show up in force. Um, but let's talk a little bit here quickly um, about the games in the preceding week that are leading up to this game because it was not the prettiest week ever for Iowa State men's basketball, and that on its own should be getting this team a little bit riled up for this game. So we start 6 days ago, last Saturday. We were at Arizona State. This last week when was the road trip down to the desert. We did win at Arizona State by 15 points, but if you watched most of that game, you would not think we won by 15 points. Um, it was a close affair for most of it. Arizona State actually led for the majority of the game
Yeah.
before Keyshawn Gilbert took over and we pulled away late. Um, but that was the kind of game that I feel like needs to be a learning curve for our team. That we really shouldn't be pushing games late because we paid the price for it in the next one. And we'll get to that one in a second. But there's other nonsense going on that ended up coming back in Arizona State's face. The football team bringing in the Big 12 football championship trophy to try to gloat on us about that one before, we beat them in basketball. Welcome to basketball season.
Definitely.
Which apparently they don't care very much about at Arizona State because they didn't even come remotely close to selling this game out. In fact, they sold tickets so poorly that Iowa State fans who decided they wanted to travel down to Arizona and escape the cold and get some warmer weather actually outnumbered them. It looked like anyway. We can't
Love this
obviously
one.
we can't know that for sure. But Hilton Southwest was
They are so petty for that.
Hilton Southwest was that was the name that was starting to go around. I think that sounds a little bit too much like Hilton South. I think we should call it like Hilton Desert or something like that. I don't know. Maybe that one doesn't roll off the tongue as well. We need to come up with something else to call it other than Hilton Southwest. But Arizona State did not show out well for that game, and the crowd in a true road game got behind Iowa State. So I will take it. And it mattered late. It helped the team rally. So good things there from Iowa State being able to pull a win out in a true road environment, or a true road game, maybe not a true road environment. But Curtis Jones surpassed his career high in that game.
Desert.
The rest of the team did not play particularly great in that game. Cujo played the full 40 minutes.
I think Hilton Southwest is most fitting.
Cujo, full 40 minutes, 33 points, his career high. And from 3, he was 50%, and that was good for 15 of his points. The dude could not miss. Really, really everything to be happy about from Curtis Jones there. We forced some necessary foul trouble that really helped us get going late in the game. Arizona State stayed competitive in the interior for the majority of that game. Once their bigs got into foul trouble, they had to back way off, and it just allowed all kinds of opportunities. Adam Miller was our only player to get into double figures. He scored 13. Nobody else cracked 10. But, yeah, the foul trouble was a huge deal for Arizona State in that game. It killed them late, and it allowed Iowa State to go on that 19-3 scoring run. And that leads us into what we ran into slightly southeast of Tempe, in a city called Tucson, where the University of Arizona, who is historically very good at basketball, and had a very disappointing non-con, and then is just absolutely tearing out of the gates in the Big 12 Conference, decided they were going to pull off one of the biggest miracles of the basketball season anywhere so far. Caleb Love. He did one of the craziest things that's happened this year. 55-foot buzzer beater. Sended a game into overtime. Blake, I want to know what you think. Should we have fouled there or not? You there? No, you're not there? I have no audio. No audio from Blake. All right, well, I guess I'm giving my take then. Personally, I do think we should have fouled. The worst thing that can happen there is you foul, they get 2 points. The chances of them being able to get a rebound and a tip in are probably lower. Of course, hindsight is 2020. Yes, we're all a little bit biased as Cyclones because of that. So you want to make the odds argument that we allow them to shoot the half quarter anyway. Okay, you can do that. You know what? That didn't pay off. So if you did something different, maybe it would have.
You're cutting off. No, you're cutting off so much on my end. 1 second.
Maybe try jumping off and getting back on or something. Well, hopefully we get him back here soon. But, yep, at the moment, looks like it's me for the time being. Yeah, Caleb Love, overtime, half quarter. Before that point in the game, he was 1 for 10. 1 for 10 on the night. And then the very last second of the second half, he decided he was going to turn into prime Steph Curry because he couldn't miss during overtime either. The entire Arizona team they played absolutely lights out. They looked like the freaking '97 Bulls during overtime. It was insane. Can you hear me a little bit better now, Blake?
My God.
No, not any better. I'm really hoping it's just the internet or something. Well, actually, no, that wouldn't be any better. I'm really hoping that it's something on your end, because if it's not, then it's probably also affecting the stream. So hopefully that is not the case. Oh boy, I'm seeing a warning on the stream. That's not
No,
good.
it's not.
Oh boy. Yeah, that can't be good. All right, we're gonna keep going with it and just hope for the best. Yeah, Caleb Love forces the overtime on the half court shot after going 1 for 10 on the night. Destroys the souls of every Cyclone fan that stayed up for that ridiculously late game because it tipped off at 9:30 our time. Schedule makers over at ESPN, unacceptable. Don't do that again. That was worse than having like the 8 p.m. kickoff for football at BYU last year. Don't do this 8:30 tip or 9:30 tip off. That's atrocious. Don't do that. That's bad. You're not getting more views that way. I know that. Is the
It's
audio
not a very good Big Monday.
No,
It's
it's
not.
not. Is the audio recovering for you at all, Blake? That's probably a no. I'm gonna cut the stream here, and we're gonna go to strictly recording. So for the rest of this show, you'll have to watch the posted video later. All right. Hopefully that helps. That should free up some computer resources for me, Blake. I might need to give it a minute. But
I can hear you a lot better. I can hear you a lot better now.
okay, so that was on my end, and that was probably killing the stream too.
It was killing Discord too. It's like you just kept cutting off so
There was
much.
it had to be too much strain on my computer. Um, but that's what I get for trying to do this on a computer that is not meant for streaming. Um,
But yeah, I can hear you guys a lot better now. Oh my goodness.
yes. There, as far as the rest of this Arizona game, our team played well. Tamin Lipsey had 14 points in the first half. He totaled 18 on the night, so they slowed him down a bit in the second half, but it's still a great game. Curtis Jones,
But you know who was
the outlier.
Yeah, he was really slowed down
He
like
went
this entire
stone
game.
cold. He was stone cold. He was 1 for 11 shooting, and the one that was counted as a bucket for him was actually a goaltend. So he did not put a single shot from the floor through the hoop all night.
So it was either just a matter of like Arizona just locking down on him, or it just wasn't really his night.
Well, I don't know if it has something to do with the really tough environments, because he shot roughly equivalent when at West Virginia as well. Was that 2 weeks ago now? Yeah,
Getting there.
Similar story. But when the environment is not absolutely torture, he plays great. So yeah, 6 of his points were off of free throws. The other 2 was off of goaltend. Not a good night from Cujo. We really need a good recovery from him tomorrow against K-State, and this game ought to make up the bulk of our show here, because there is a lot to talk about with this one.
Yep. as far as Kansas State, I feel like there's a similar amount of hype going into this game than with Texas in 2023, because
I
Cyclone
think
now
there's
is just like
more.
been investing a lot in this one too.
I think
They've
there's more going into this one.
Oh yeah, there's a heck of a ton more. Um, so for one thing, we have Cyclone Jim Carrey giving away a bunch of ray gun shirts Jim Carrey themed on there.
Yeah, after
Kind of
what a meme that was
dude.
last year.
He
The Cyclone Jim Carrey, if you don't know him, John Swano. The picture, it just went absolutely viral amongst Cyclone Nation. Him doing the crying thing at Jerome Tang, because Jerome Tang is, well, he's whiny. He is. There really isn't a way to sugarcoat that. Jerome Tang is a whiny coach. Um,
and that was after he obviously didn't agree with the ref at the time, and he's like,
well, he's so whiny he
you know,
whines about things that didn't even happen.
hence
Um,
this hence the entire game last year at Hilton.
and this is why the crowd is going to be so vicious tomorrow. Was the accusations that were leveled at us, the racial epithets, that one came through K-State fans on Twitter. The throwing things came through K-State fans on Twitter, but the cheating allegations that was worse, because that came through anonymous sources and was published in the Wichita Star, or
It
the
was also
Wichita
published on
Eagle, or whatever the name of it is. I think it was also published in the Kansas City Star, was it not?
It was also published on Sports Illustrated, I think, which I don't think
Was
had
it?
any reliable sources.
Sports
I
Illustrated
think,
isn't itself a reliable source. Hasn't been
yeah,
for some time.
I think I do remember Sports Illustrated, and then it came over to Barstool, I think. And then
Yeah,
stuff came out is like, hey, this is illegitimate,
yeah.
and that went straight.
There was a number of outlets calling for K State to apologize, which they certainly never did.
CBS Sports being one of them.
Yes. I know. I wasn't aware of the Kansas City Star posting anything until I saw Randy Peterson had an article for Iowa Everywhere today, and he said that the
Hmm.
Kansas City Star had an article about that, and that's where the leaks were sent to originally. I believe it was the Wichita Eagle that originally published them. I'm not actually sure. Now that he said that, I'm second guessing myself, and I don't know which one is correct, but it's got to be one of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, after the allegations were originally broke, they spread like wildfire. Jamie Pollard watched the game film twice to make sure that nothing happened. Nothing happened. I mean,
Nothing happened.
you can watch it on like the ES. Well, it's not on the ESPN Plus archives
Mm,
anymore. Those delete after 30
I think
days. It's on the Cyclones TV archives.
yes, it's in Cyclones TV
It
archives.
is in the Cyclones TV archives. So, if you don't believe us and you're a K State fan that's watching this podcast for some reason, I doubt there are any K Staters watching this because it's an Iowa State show and y'all don't like us. But
Pay $10 a month, have yourself a watch.
if you're really, really needing to get that fill in, because you just looking for something, it's in the Cyclones TV archives. You won't find anything there. Um,
Support your boy.
I don't know if the cameras were pointing that direction or not when the K State coaches were cussing out our managers. They might have been
I
toward the other end of
I
the
don't
floor
believe it.
because when the managers are mopping the floor, the action's usually on the other side of the court.
Yeah.
So it's very possible that that's not on camera, but it did in fact happen. And TJ had to talk about that in the presser against or after
Kansas.
the game against Kansas last year in 2024. Yeah, there is going to be a lot of vitriol with that one. Blake, were you in attendance at the K State game last year, or were you working?
For K-State, I was running the camera next to the ESPN cameras.
Okay, so you were not caught up right in the middle of those allegations then.
No, but at least I was there and seeing all that went down at least.
Because those of
A lot
us,
of it, I
because those of
a
us that
lot of
were,
it I heard. What's up?
well, because those of us that were in the front of the student section, right near their bench, and then the season ticket holders that were also right behind their bench. Those were the ones that were really caught up in these allegations,
Yeah.
which happens to be where I was sitting. So I was right at the center of this.
Yeah.
That means
And you're
by
and
us,
you were telling me all of this like when it was done.
right. K-State can't point their fingers at any particular individual. They're just pointing at a section, which happens to be the section that I was in. So I'm right in the center of this. It also means I can personally attest none of these things happened. And we broke it down a year ago on the show after that game. I broke down every individual reason why those things could not happen. So I don't feel the need to rehash each one of those. If you want to go, if you want a rehashing of that, of why all of the allegations that they made against us, why even if they were true, they either A, wouldn't work, or B, K-State wouldn't be able to figure it out in order to make the allegations in the first place. You can go dig up the show from a year ago after we played K-State.
Yep, the show is called Controversy with the Cats, back in January 27, 2024.
Yep.
So if you wanna give yourself a watch for that one again.
Yes. Yeah, that's we broke that, or I broke that one down in detail, reason by reason, line by line, about why all of those allegations were false. Yeah. And it turns out it ended up being a pretty bad look for K-State, and since then their basketball program has completely fallen apart.
Oh yeah, and
Since
like
that day,
we took them down in the Big 12 tournament. Jerome Tang was hoping for an NCAA tournament appearance. Was gifted a very gracious NIT appearance at the team out east.
Mm-hmm. But that day where we beat them and they made those allegations shortly thereafter marked what appears to be the downfall of that program. Because Jerome Tang can't get wins now. He can't get recruits. The culture there is completely falling apart. Dick Linton, the university president, kicked a player off the team over unproven allegations. Which to this,
I didn't know that.
He was suspended from the team, pending the investigation. This is Naquan Tomlin. He was suspended from the team pending the investigation. That's what you do, to ensure honesty in the investigation. The investigation was not completed, and Dick Linton kicked him off the team. The university president stepped in and removed him from the team. And then he transferred to, I believe it was Memphis. But the culture among K-State basketball completely fell apart. They cannot get wins. It doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of respect for Jerome Tang, even within the K-State community, based on what I can tell. Their attendance at games is way, way down. Be that a combination of the losses and the bad culture, or just one or the other, I'm not entirely sure. I know there were a lot of K-State fans that weren't even too happy about Tang calling Lipsey the biggest flopper in the league down in Kansas City. And I know that certainly irked Iowa State fans, and I imagine Lipsey's got something to prove against K-State for that one. So, if Lipsey pops off tomorrow, don't be shocked, because he's probably got an agenda. Yeah. But K-State, they don't look like a good basketball team this year. The Big 12 is kind of the top four teams and everybody else, and K-State falls into the everybody else category. I mean, they spent $2 million on Coleman Hawkins, who wouldn't be starting at a lot of Power 5 schools. I don't know what's going on down there. It is a mess. It is chaos. I don't think anybody wants to sort it out.
You sound like you feel bad.
Almost.
Fair
I'm
enough.
just I'm just I'm just pointing out the facts as they are right now. I mean, it is a
Yeah,
mess.
exactly.
That's pretty undeniable. Um, I don't. You know, I want to have more sportsmanship than they do, so I don't want to revel in it too much.
Hmm.
Um, but it's their program down there is a disaster, and considering that it's us that has beef with them over it, and we should be locking in after that loss to Arizona. I fully expect to just absolutely beat the brakes off of them tomorrow. Um, I want to take a look here. I want to see if I can find what the spread is real quick on this game, because that spread should be out by now. Um, Give me 1 second. I don't know if you've got any takes on this game to fill the time while I'm finding these odds.
Well, I will add on from uh, all the hype that's coming into this game, like with Cyclone Alley, like investing more into this. Uh, they hinted at having a giant cell phone cutouts to kind of mimic recording their timeouts, just to give the student section something to just to kind of give them some publicity. See if the TV cameras can like catch on to that too. Obviously Jim Carrey, like with the T-shirts, it's like it's the legacy game of Jim Carrey, and the stuff that's happened to Jonathan Swanson throughout the past year. It's like it's been great, and such a cool dude. And he didn't ask for any of this. It's like Cyclone Nation has just blessed him, and he's just been a blessing back. Like he's been a gift from the Cyclone heavens, as Scott Reiser told me actually.
Iowa State, according to looks like FanDuel here, minus 15.5 is looks like it's what it's showing at minus 120 odds.
Enough.
Let me double check this here. Sportsbook reviews grid is offset on my screen. I want to make sure I'm looking at the correct one here because it doesn't match up perfectly.
Okay.
FanDuel Sportsbook. Iowa State. Yeah. Iowa State minus 15.5. It opened at minus 16.5, so it is moving a little bit toward K State, but not very much. Um, Vegas is expecting Iowa State to beat the brakes off K State too. But considering the events that have preceded this game, 16.5 just sounds to me like a challenge to Iowa State. Like, go out there and do it, and Iowa State's going to be like, all right, let's go do it. Let's go beat them by 27. You know, um, this seems like the kind of attitude that Iowa State's going to want to have going into that game. Obviously, the coaching staff and the players are not going to be paying attention to the spread. That's not anything they're going to care particularly much about. But like their motive is going to be how much can we beat these guys by? Um, because after all of the stuff that has been after all of the mud that has been slung at Iowa State by K State in the last calendar year, the Cyclones are going to want to embarrass K State in this game. Like we don't want to just win. We want to like send them home like we're like they get on the airplane and just like nobody wants to talk because they just experienced that kind of a beat down type of that's the type of game that we're looking to put up against K-State. We've got the talent to make it happen. We've got the mindset to make it happen. We've got the motivation to make it happen. We've got the home court advantage. Everything in this game points toward Iowa State. Every single aspect. I don't think K-State has even one advantage going into this game. The way the roster lines up, I don't see anything that I don't see any like mismatches for K-State to exploit. Like if you're K-State, you got to be looking at this game and going, oh, hell. It's going to be a rough day for the Purple Kitties. Corn is better than wheat. That's what all of this chalks up to. Corn is better than wheat.
I'll leave it like that.
And then our next game, also a very big one. Iowa State will return to ESPN Big Monday. Excuse me. Iowa State will return to ESPN Big Monday at Fog Allen Fieldhouse. They will be playing the Kansas Jayhawks again.
After we missed out last year due to scheduling.
Yep. Well, did we really miss out? Fog Allen's a tough place to play. I got to give him credit where credit is due.
Yeah.
Fog Allen's a tough place to play. Is it as tough the last 2 years, maybe, as it had been the previous 2 decades? Probably not. That doesn't mean it's still that doesn't make it easy by any means. It's still a tough place to play. I think we can win. I don't think it's guaranteed.
Never in that place.
No, a win by a opposing team is never guaranteed at Fog Allen. But a win is within reach for this team.
It is.
But that's a Kansas team they are going to be looking for a revenge win against us. They are looking to, try to maintain a grasp on the Big 12 race because they are one of the 4 teams that you can argue is still a contender for it. It's them, us, Houston, and Arizona. Houston's in runaway first place right now. But I guess Arizona probably only has 1 conference loss, don't they? They just have the one to Texas Tech. So I guess Arizona and Houston are tied for first. Between the two of them, I think Houston's a better team. But Iowa State sitting now with multiple conference losses, not good. Houston doesn't have a conference loss. They won at Fog Allen. So Houston is in first outright. Houston's in first outright, then it's Arizona, then it's us. And I believe Kansas also only has 2 conference losses.
Houston's at the tippy top.
Yep. I keep wanting to believe that Houston has a conference loss because of that game that they had against Kansas. But they did, in fact, win that game on almost as much luck as Arizona had against us. Actually, I think you can make the argument that Houston had more luck in that game because they were going against the crowd. Arizona had the crowd in their favor.
Yeah, exactly.
So that at least made a difference in overtime. You can't attribute the Caleb Love, 55, 57, whatever that was, foot shot to that. But the overtime, playing as a road team in overtime always sucks. The women's team will tell you about that from Bramlage, which we'll talk about that in a little bit here. But Houston, they won in overtime at Fog Allen. It takes a great team to do that. So points to Houston for that one. But it better be our turn next. I know Kansas is going to want to defend that home floor. They do not want to take multiple home losses in the same year. That would be, by their standards, an embarrassment. Would I love to be the team that does that? Oh, absolutely. I would absolutely love to be the team that gives them 2 home losses in the same year. I don't know when the last time that happened was. Certainly not within recent memory. But that'll be Monday, for their Big Monday or whatever the heck ESPN calls it. Women's ball. Women's ball was a mixed bag in the last week.
When is it not?
That's the story of the year for women's ball, is it being a mixed bag. You don't know what to expect with this team. Um, they beat the tar out of
But
UCF. That's good.
but, but with UCF, it's like when you're going up against an injured team, gotta
Basketball
beat the
isn't their
brakes off them.
strong suit in Orlando.
It's really not. And
Uh,
then you got to give them some grief. They're down their best three shooters too.
Basketball just also isn't their thing. It never has
Well,
been.
no,
They have they're in their third season, or no, second season in the Big 12, and they have two conference wins between the two seasons.
that is so great.
It's UCF is not good at basketball, women's or men's. I mean, we talked on last week's show about how badly we beat the brakes off their men's team. The women's team beat the brakes off of UCF's women's team almost as badly. The women didn't put up 108 points like the men did, but we did win 90-56. So at that point, if you win by 34, is there that much of a difference between winning by 34 and winning by like 44 or 48 or whatever it
Yep.
was? No, there really isn't.
No.
Um, Lily Hansford finally played good. I
Oh my
really hope.
gosh,
I really hope it wasn't a fluke.
we never stopped believing in her. At
Who's
least I
we?
didn't.
I was gonna say I did.
I said I didn't.
Yeah, no, the way that most of the season has gone, watching that game, I was like, I really hope that this is the start of a pattern and not a fluke. Um, she played decent against K State, so maybe she is back to the Pac-12 form that she was at before. Um, but we really need her to be shooting well because we need more outside action from this women's basketball team. Part of the reason we've been so inconsistent is because if we just keep trying to force feed Audie, eventually teams jump the passing lanes and we fall apart, which is usually how second halves go for us. Um, but yeah, against UCF, she went 4 for 7. She made her first four, missed her next three. Um, so, um, but
Yeah, and Bill was trying to come to her before the game and say like, hey, be sure to let it fly tonight.
yeah. Now the UCF defense, on the other hand, you know how when we were talking about the men's game, we were talking about how they didn't play anything resembling a coherent defense.
That was a story of UCF's offense.
That was the story of their defense. Just copy and paste.
Hmm.
Like I don't really have any new commentary to offer. I could say the same things that I said last week about their men's team that I could say the same things about their women's team this week. I mean, it really is just like copy and paste. Um, and then of course last night the Twister sisters had a trip to the Octagon of Doom where they had an honorable fight. They put up an honorable fight against a team that is definitely more talented than them. K State didn't have Ioka in that game, which helped for us. Um, but I did not expect us to take this game to overtime against them. The Purple Kitties did field a very good women's basketball team this year. They got 3 losses, if I'm not mistaken. They probably should be a top 10 team. I kills me to admit this, um, but the the Cats absolutely outplayed us in overtime. Um, but yeah, they dropped the dagger three, and then after that, we never came close. Um,
No. And it's like you
turnovers,
said before. It's like
turnovers. They are our
turnovers.
Achilles heel for the women's team, and they
They
tend to
really
come in
are.
the second half more than the first half.
Yeah.
But it's
It's
that
like
trying to
like
force
I
feed
don't
the
know.
ball to Audie that I was talking about before. You know, if we just keep trying to force it inside, bad things happen. That's what happened. That's why we couldn't score effectively in overtime. We kept trying to force it to Audie and turning it over.
That's why I've said like before, like we cannot depend on Audi every single game.
What is this that you put in the script? Sunday versus The Bachelorette? Bro.
What do you think? What do you think?
Okay, yes, I understand we're
Who is
playing
coming?
TCU on Sunday.
Who is coming?
But I understand that that means Haley
Who
Van
is
Lith
coming?
is coming to
You know,
town.
you
But
know, you know
bro,
it's TCU.
you put The Bachelorette in our script? Come on.
Well, when you say it like that,
Come
yes,
on.
we got TCU on Sunday. We've been looking forward to this one for a while now.
We run this segment for like 8 minutes. Have some class for 8 minutes. Come on. Yeah, I don't even know how to give commentary on that after reading that in the script. Especially because we don't have anything else in the script either for this game. I don't that's the whole point of this game, I guess. I don't know. I know the student section is planning on showing up for that game. I know we got guys from other schools that are planning on coming to this game just because Haley Van Lith is coming. Mm-hmm. I know I've talked to one or two guys from UNI that are planning on coming to this game just because it's Haley Van Lith. I don't even...
We also have one more certain burner. I said it. Team Audie's burner.
You're getting bleeped. Been a while since I've had to use that in the editing.
You can't bleep me when I'm live.
We're not live anymore.
What?
That's why your audio is back. I cut the stream.
Oh, really?
Yes. I was like, if the problem's not on your end, I was gonna have to cut the stream because it was too much. It was too much resources, either A on my internet connection or B on my processor. Either one is possible. So, or on my graphics chip.
That's crazy. I never get bleeped.
Yeah, it's usually me. But yep, you're getting bleeped. Have fun with that.
Uh-oh. Because what's TCU coming into this game?
Are they ranked? I don't even know.
Yes, they are very much ranked. Right now, they're 9th.
9th? Okay.
They're
They're a really good team.
Yeah, obviously Haley Van Lith is a big help on this.
Obviously, I don't pay as much attention to Haley Van Lith as half of the other guys that follow women's basketball. Because, I follow it for the basketball and not because, a very well-known blonde is playing for a different team that I don't have much of an interest in.
Well, this game is also on FS1 because I think the last time that women's basketball was on Fox Sports for us at home was like before COVID with Baylor when Kim Mulkey was coaching.
Still there. But was she wearing an ostrich costume in that game? Or...
I'd have to go back. I can't remember for sure.
Was she? Was that's always the question with Kim Mulkey. Is she dressed as an ostrich or a disco ball or grandma's couch or always something weird with Kim Mulkey. But that's kind of irrelevant to the game against TCU, which maybe we'll show out for. We'll have a good crowd for it.
Oh yeah, we'll have a good crowd.
And then Wednesday, we take a trip to Ohio and play the Cincinnati Bearcats. I really wish you would have put a record in there for them because I haven't watched any of their games. I have absolutely no idea how Cincinnati is this year. I haven't watched any film on them.
Cincinnati is kind of in the middle of the Big 12 right now, standing at 5-4, 13-6 on the season right now.
Okay, so they're mid. We could beat them, but we might not because we're inconsistent.
Yeah, we're a couple spots ahead of them in the Big 12 rankings right now.
So basically, what you're telling me is don't touch the money line with a 10-foot pole.
I'd say no.
Gotcha. Let's see. We're starting to run a little bit low on time here. Let's move into wrestling real quick. Yeah, this is going to be brief. We beat the tar out of Oklahoma last week, last Friday. We did bad against Oklahoma State, although we did better
We
than I
start
thought we were going
we
to.
we started decent
We started well.
with
We got a
Oklahoma
couple.
State at the beginning.
We got a couple of upsets early on, and we because Jacob Frost beat Tegan Jamison. That was huge. Cody Chittum beat Caleb Fish. That was big. And Paniro Johnson won the coin flip bout against Carter Young. And
Yeah, so
then we got into the portion of the duel where we have nobody in the top 10, and Oklahoma State had everybody else that was left in the top 10, and we kind of got killed. Yeah. Gaitan lost by tech fall. Bachman lost by major decision. Herrera lost by tech fall. And Sawyer Bartelt lost by an injury default. And I want to talk about this one for a little bit.
yeah, let's.
Because both wrestlers screwed up in this one. The Oklahoma State fans were just absolutely enraged at me on Twitter about this one, because I was saying that Serber was in the wrong. Their argument, though, is because Bartelt shouldn't have kept wrestling, that Serber wasn't in the wrong. No, they were both in the wrong. Bartelt should not have kept wrestling. He obviously had a pretty serious knee injury. He could barely stand upright on it.
After the second time going down, like even Coach Dresser had to come over and say, like, all right, you're done.
Yeah, he shouldn't have stayed in after the first one.
No, exactly.
But
I was like, is this guy fine?
After staying in, Serber took him down, and he cranks his leg around in a twisting motion that is not a wrestling move. Like, you can go back and watch the film if you don't believe me. I told plenty of Oklahoma State fans to do it. None of them did. Certainly none of them put any clips of it on social media, that's for sure. Because it would only prove my point. Because what you do, in the situation that they were in, is Serber would want to shelf the leg and lift, not crank it around sideways. So it wasn't really a legitimate wrestling move. He just did it to cause pain, because pain is one way that you can manipulate a wrestler. If you're going to go after a wrestler's injury, at least use a legitimate wrestling move. Come on. So Serber was being unsportsmanlike for that. Bartelt never should have stayed in. If Bartelt doesn't stay in, that doesn't happen, and then we don't have to be going after either one of these wrestlers for that. But nonetheless, both wrestlers made stupid decisions.
Yep. I just wish Bartelt could have stayed out, just for the interest of him. It's like
Bartelt was a high-ranked recruit, but he's not ready yet.
If you're down, then take care of yourself. It's just one bout.
The way the injury looked, I'd be shocked if he doesn't need surgery. We haven't heard anything yet from the wrestling program about whether or not he will. But just watching it live, my first thought was it's probably ACL. But yeah, nothing good came from the upper weight classes against Oklahoma State. Aiden Riggins wrestled better than I thought he was going to against Cameron Amin. He only lost by a decision. Although it was barely a decision, 1 point difference would have made it a major. Yeah, obviously Dean Hamady cooked MJ Gaitan. Dustin Plott, who is third in the country and definitely a contender for the title at 174 if the right upsets happen in March. Major decision Evan Bachman, Wyatt Hendrickson, tech fall Daniel Herrera. My goodness, we need younger Bastida, and we are not going to have him. He's done for the season. So
how good is he looking to come back? Because he only wrestled twice this season, right?
Bastida, I would imagine he can probably get a medical red shirt, but he will not be returning for the remainder of the season.
No, definitely not. I wasn't expecting that.
He will not be returning. Our wrestling roster is in shambles right now. Kyson Terrakina, we are almost certainly not getting back. Anthony Echemendia is now done for the year. Casey Swiderski's been done for the year since what the first since like what the first duel. Um, Chittum was originally going to redshirt. I don't know if that's still happening or not. With all of the other injuries that have been happening, and then yeah, Younger Bastida's wrestled twice this entire season, and he's done for the remainder of the year. Christian Carroll is out at 197. I believe he's done for the remainder of the season. That's what, 6 injuries from starters.
Yeah,
it's a down year for Iowa State wrestling. If all of our guys are healthy, we might be the number 3 or 4 team in the country. With all of the injuries we have,
we could have beat this year.
You said it again. I'm having you bleep you twice now.
Team out east.
I'm gonna have to bleep you twice. Yeah, that's the way wrestling is going. Next week, a week from today, we'll be wrestling against Arizona State. We'll detail that more day of when we do that show. But that is it for today's show. Follow the Cornfield Sports Pod on Twitter at CSportsPod. Blake, where can they find you at?
You can find me, as always, at BlakeAttack1846.
And, of course, you can find me at SFMattISU. Tap the follow button on Spotify, the plus button on Apple. Turn on notifications for the show. Make sure you also turn on notifications for YouTube and Rumble. Hit the little bell button after you hit subscribe on those. If you listen to podcasts on Amazon, CastBox, or Good Pods, we're also available on those. But yeah.
And Blake Peterson.
I'm Matt Menson. And this has been the Cornfield Sports Pod.